never seen a tree this big.
I don't think anyone has. That's the point, right?
Guys,
Oh, okay. See.
look how small they are. That thing behind them. General Sherman tree. It is not the biggest nor the oldest, but it is the most it's like the most mass of a tree in the world right there. Look at that big thing.
When I visited Sequoia National Park, I was met with a blanket of snow covering the landscape, a serene and stark contrast to the fiery trials these trees endure and embrace. Since the dawn of humankind, man has recognized fire as one of the most powerful forces of nature. Left untouched, fire has the ability to destroy the most prominent empires, challenge the greatest beasts, and ruin the world's most impressive creations. Fire is destructive. But for the sequoias, it is a source of strength. For all intents and purposes, sequoias are fireproof. But not only are they fireproof, they depend on fire to survive. And survive they do. The giant sequoia is the world's most massive tree species, and one of the longest living organisms on the planet. Living to over 2,000 years in age, the only known natural cause of their death is from toppling over due to their immense size. For the most impressive trees in the world, fire is not to be feared. The element we view as a scorching, blazing force of destruction is not distressing to the giants. It is welcomed. These fires are important to the trees. In many ways, fire is a cleanser to these trees. Not water, but fire. They clear the sequoia forests of smaller, weaker brush, preventing the sequoia's home from becoming overpopulated. In return, the trees lay a rich carpet of leaves that fuel the hungry fire, allowing it to grow and take down all but the strongest trees in the grove. For millennia, sequoias and fire have developed and kept this symbiotic relationship. A beautiful understanding of one another has birthed an unlikely but powerful bond. But as I stomped through the snow surrounding these impressive titans, I saw another side of their resilience. The snow brings a quiet stillness, a time for reflection. Just as the sequoias stand tall in the winter silence, waiting for the inevitable fires to come, we too need moments of peace before the storms that shape us. As I looked up, I understood the firestorms these trees endured to be able to exist in the quiet of the winter. These giants thrive in extremes, enduring both the cold embrace of winter and the scorching heat of fire. They remind us that true strength comes from weathering all of life's seasons, both the calm and the chaotic. It's said that wisdom comes with age, and if that's the case, who better to learn from than the sequoias? Next time there's a fire in your life, don't run. Learn from the oldest beings on Earth. Embrace it. Maybe the fire is clearing a path for you. Or perhaps you're one of the weaker, smaller trees in this case, and the fire is just redirecting your seeds to a grove better suited for you. There's really only one way to find out, though. Brave the blaze. Maybe you'll end up standing tall after the smoke clears, revealing an open grove that was hidden to you before. In some cases, fires cause massive landslides, causing the ground to rise nearly 50 feet higher than it was before. But when this happens, sequoias are not buried and smothered to death. No, instead, they have the unique ability to start growing roots from the middle of their trunks that were buried, allowing them to grow even taller and larger than they were before. A blazing fire followed by a world-altering landslide may seem catastrophic, but the sequoias don't care. In fact, it is beneficial to them, allowing them to thrive and grow higher in the changed ecosystem. Perhaps the next fire in your life will allow you to see higher. Surviving the fire may be just the thing you needed to thrive after it. As I near postgraduate life, a fire is approaching. A new phase of life is on the horizon, and a forest of problems stand between me and my future. How will I write my story? Where will I end up? Is this the path that will bring me the most fulfillment and growth? I can smell the smoke. But I'm not reaching for the buckets of water behind me this time. You see, in the past, humans have let their own fears interfere with the will of nature. And since we feared fires, we assumed the trees did too. In the late 1800s, European settlers suppressed fires, thinking that they were helping sequoia groves. We suppressed these fires for a century. But nature's will proceeded, and as if written by the gods themselves, the fire blazed, this time stronger than ever. After such a long time resisting nature, we set the stage perfectly for a historic inferno. The forest floors were rich with a century's worth of dry leaves, a blanket of fuel perfectly suited for an ambitious ember to grow. After all this resistance, we should have known that fires will always be inevitable. This time, the fire was truly destructive. Untidy and untamed, even some of the most mature sequoias couldn't withstand this heat. Fighting fires isn't always the answer. But even after this historic catastrophe, the smoke eventually cleared. Haziness is natural, both in a forest ablaze and in our ordinary lives. What we can learn from the trees is that maybe existing in the smoke is necessary to exist in the clarity that comes after. As I approach the fog that is postgraduate life, I'll remember the lessons of the great sequoia, the resilient and wise warriors that stand so far above us. These trees teach us not to let everything burn when a fire in our life passes through, but to stand strong in the flames as we trust the foundations we have built, and the inferno challenges us and makes us uncomfortable. I understand that there is both snow and fire on the horizon. The frozen moments of stillness and calm cannot exist without the abrasive fires that will forge my path ahead. But like the sequoias, I won't fear these elements. I'll embrace them, knowing that each has its own essential role in my growth. Who knows? If we listen to the trees, we may grow just as much as they have.
We're like in a cloud, so we can't really see the viewpoints, but it's like a lot of elevation. I think the peak is about 6725. Yeah, it's like literally, this is supposed to be like a giant viewpoint, but instead it's like a haze of clouds. It's pretty high up. There were a bunch of signs saying don't do this while it's icy. But you know, sometimes rules are meant to be broken.
In my dreams, I'm never over you. Just trying to stay alive.